All right, welcome back, everyone. Week 6 is over. 2 regular season games left. We got some exciting matchups ahead of us, exciting playoffs ahead of us. Award season, coming to an end. 2 more games to prove yourself. So we got a lot to talk about this week. As always, shout out to our sponsor, 110 Grill. Shout out 110 Grill. You hear it on the post-game interviews every week. It's becoming a trend here at the Massachusetts Legacy Leagues to say. I'm joined by my boy DJ and first time Davis on this week. So shout out those guys. Yeah, we'll get right into it with our first matchup, which would be ASAP versus Reapers. All right, this was a closer one than maybe some of us expected. Surely, maybe DJ. I know he was saying some words for the Reapers last week, so we'll have him talk about that. But yeah, ASAP took this one 69-57. Noah James scoring 37, almost half of the points for team ASAP. But yeah, DJ, talk about how team ASAP won this one. It was closer than you expected because Reapers have been losing a lot recently. I think this is 4 in a row. But yeah, give it to us.
Yeah, it's basically the same story every week. Noah James out here 37 points, shooting 52% from 3, hitting 7 for 12. Reaper's usually known for their defense, but this guy just cannot be contained, can't be guarded by anyone, by any team.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the Noah James story so far this season for ASAP, but their supporting cast is doing a good job too. They're getting him those open shots, getting him those defensive stops to get him on those fast breaks. But for Reapers, they had more rebounds, more steals, more assists, and they still lost. And I think that has to do with Noah James' just brutalness on offense. Um, but you know, we had Yala Smith 19 points, Isaac Lane who hasn't shown up to all the games, but when he does, he's scoring. So he had 16 points, and then Carlos Bermudez Green's first game back last season, All-Star, led the league in steals, or he was either number 2 or number 1. He led the league in rebounds. He was definitely top 10, shortest guy on the court. You don't expect that, but he hustles on defense and offense to get those boards, sneaking by guys when they're not expecting it, poking the ball out, getting it. He's just a pest. A guy you might look out on the floor and be like, oh, short guy, we got a mismatch here, but no, he's relentless. Yeah, so Reaper's gonna try to look to get a win. They haven't won in 4 weeks. It's been a while. They usually don't lose. Davis, talk about the Reapers and how they're going to get a win in either 1 or 2 of these next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, maybe focus on just trying to get the ball. Yala Smith, he's nearly unstoppable at times, and honestly, maybe just try to get him going, get him kind of just to lead the way through. I feel like, he's super tall, super athletic, can grab every rebound, get put back dunks, with ease. I feel like he's definitely the key factor to, ending the season strong for them.
No, yeah, he's a problem for the other teams when he's just driving to the rim. He's so lengthy. You can't really, you know, a lot of the time you have to be jumping a lot sooner than you think with some of these other guys because by the time you're jumping, he's already above you. I learned that the hard way. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Reapers, maybe we'll see a bounce back. ASAP's still on a roll. Maybe a lot closer than we thought it would be. They're playing without Kareem Cooper with that Achilles injury. Hopefully everything's going well with him. But yeah, Noah James just going out there doing what he does, scoring over half his team points. So yeah, we'll move on to our next game, and that game being Run It Up Top Dogs. All right, Run It Up took this one 91-77, closer than we maybe thought. Run Up playing without Marcus Collins, one of their bigger guys who is makes his presence known every week. Sean Yard, I think, had his best game yet, dropped 35 points. I called him out last week on the podcast. I'll get back to that. I'll let the interns talk, but I'll talk a little at the end. Tack Gomes back. He missed last week, but this week he scored 34, 13 rebounds, 6 steals, doing what he does, trying to make a case for himself in the MVP race. I think this very much puts him in that conversation. He's doing incredible out there. Top dogs led the way by a familiar name here when we talk about top dogs. Jared Hansen, 33 points. He's their leading guy on offense. Um, Nick Bokelman, 19 points, 3-point shooter. We've known this in the last 3 seasons. He's always in those 3-point competitions. You can't let him get hot, or he's going to drop 15 to 20 on you. Our boy Joey, double-double for him, 12 points, 12 rebounds. He's been on fire these last couple of weeks, so shout out Joey. Yeah, I mean, you guys saw more of this game. I was playing during this game, so I'll let you talk about it a little more. Davis, talk about the impact Pat Gomes has on run up. They missed him last week, but he was here this week. So how was his presence felt for them?
I mean, yeah, he really led the way with the energy. We got a ton of steals. I mean, the team as a whole just were picking off every passing lane like crazy and really shut down the top dogs. And that kind of just gained the momentum there, led by Tat Gomes. He got a lot of fiery dunks and just super energetic out there. Definitely made a huge impact, and he's really getting his name out there in MVP talks. Definitely.
Yeah, and DJ, talk about top dogs. Excuse me, coming off a win um, against the squad. They were missing a lot of their guys still this week. Talk about how it was this close. Yeah, run up, missing one of their best defensive guys in Marcus Collins, one of their bigger guys that would have definitely helped in a top dogs matchup that's a much smaller team. But talk about top dogs and how they're sticking in these games.
Yeah, this this game is one of the deadest games I've ever seen. By the top dogs, at least. I've seen livelier teams at a graveyard. Uh, like literally first half, just complete silence, just nothing going on, no energy at all coming from the team. And I think that's really what they're missing here. They rely a lot on the 3-pointer and outside shooting. Um, Basically no presence in the paint. I get that they're a smaller team and all, but in a league like this, you're gonna need to drive the hoop a little more to really compete with other teams. When you're shooting almost 30 shots less per game than the other team, you're not going to be able to rack up that score enough to really beat anyone.
It almost makes you think if they shot even the 3-point more, would they be, one shot away from making this game a game? So, yeah, I mean, they started off with 4 guys in like the first half, so they were probably dead tired. So that might explain why they're quiet. But no, yeah, vocalness is very important here in basketball, especially basketball. Um, yeah, I want to talk a little. I want to talk directly to Run It Up. After their interview, they were saying we were talking crazy on the pod, and I'll take the blame for that because it was me. I was calling out Sean Yard for having a bit of like a slump season. They said I said he fell off, but I didn't want to keep it like that or say it like that. But maybe that's what I was saying. So I'll stand by that. He dropped his 35 points against a 1-5 team where maybe one guy on the other team was taller than him. So let's not take this as like a statement win for Run It Up here. You were out without Marcus Collins, which, I didn't get any credit for calling them the big three in this league a couple weeks ago, but they want to say something as soon as I say that maybe one of their guys fell off. I mean, he's averaging 20% worse from the field. It's not really a team thing. I know he's winning one game more than they did. It's a 1 game difference. It's not too much of a difference when it comes to that. Top dogs were missing. They only had 4 guys to start this game, and they're missing, I think, 3 or 4 guys from their team that add up to 68 points per game when you look at their points per game added up. So come on, we expected a much bigger win here, even without Marcus Collins. You guys needed to step up a little more. Only 14 points. I don't want to make any enemies, but y'all are calling us out on the post game. So I need to stand on what I say. And your last 3 matchups this season are a combined 3 for 15. So you might have to prove me wrong in the playoffs. I don't know if these next few games are going to be the ones to prove your point. But Sean Yard, man, we're cool. I'm not calling you out, but I mean, I guess I am. It was a slower season than you had last season. You have one more win than you did at that point when I called you out, which is, obviously we'll take 0 points per game, 0 assists, 0 everything, as long as you get a win. Everyone will do that. But yeah, I just don't, I just don't want us to be getting talked like we don't know what we're talking about because we look at the stats. I got everything written down. I got everything. So we know what we're talking about here. So prove us wrong in those playoffs. These next few weeks, we'll keep an eye out. They better be bigger blowouts, guys. I'm expecting a lot bigger wins here. Um, yeah, I've talked enough. So we'll move on to our next game. That game being A1 B2A, my very own A1. A1, we took this one 95-67. I think one or two of the guys on the pod last week that aren't here picked B2A. So I know Darwin, my boy, was not happy with that. DJ, uh, kind of became an enemy with B2A. He has not been kind to them on this podcast. But you know, we did what we did. We didn't need to talk during this game. We came out, we hustled, we out hustled completely. That was the game. That was the game plan. We just out hustled them, and it shows. We racked up the score. Um, yeah, Hendel leading the way, 32 points, 10 rebounds. Darwin, 26 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. My guy Ricky, 15 points. Yeah, it's just the depth is crazy with A1. We are missing guys, but we had guys coming off the bench creating that impact. Amande Reaver for B2A, 25 points. Their leading guy, Shy Hicks, only shooting 4 for 11, 10 points. That's not going to cut it in a game where you're playing one of the top teams. You want to make a statement, and this was just not the statement they wanted to make. I know that for a fact. DJ, I know you've talked a lot about B2A, but maybe give it a break this week. Talk about A1. Why did A1 win this one?
Yeah, A1. You got Hendel 32 points, Darwin 26, Ricky Ortega with 15, Angel with 11. Just everyone was contributing in this game. We got my goat Cade Ryan had 3 steals this week. B2A playing B2 mid. So this is pretty much how we expected it to go.
It's how you expected to go. Some guys thought we were going to lose this, but we heard that, and yeah, we stuck to our game plan, and it worked out. B2A was talking the trash in the game, even when they were down, saying attack me on defense. Yeah, one-on-one, I'm not the best defender. We're not going into that game thinking, yeah, Cade's going to be picking up, Noah James at half court. No, we know I'm not the best, but I don't really like when guys are saying attack me on defense when they can't even hustle back on defense. Come on, what are we doing? Like, on the season, you know, I'm gonna call up Shy Hicks because we talked. He said it was nothing personal, so this is nothing personal either. But you're saying attack me on defense. You have 3 steals on the season. I had 3 steals against your team this game, and you have 0 blocks. Get in the paint. This next game, I want to see 3 steals from you, and I want to see at least 2 blocks. I want to see you jumping at least. Come on, show some hustle down low. I'm out there risking my life. These guys are 100 pounds more than me. I'm jumping at them, trying to dunk on me. Come on, you can't be saying attack me when we're in a zone. People are attacking me. It's not working. So one-on-one, yeah, maybe you guys win there, but come on, saying attack me. I want to see you, do something more on defense. So yeah, that's my take for this. I've talked a little smack. DJ held off, so I had to talk a little bit about that. Yeah, Davis, before we move on from this game, B2A, I think ASAP next week, playing the 2 top teams back-to-back weeks. How do you take a loss like this and transfer it into an ASAP game? How are they going to maybe bounce back next week?
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate scheduling just to have to play against these top 2 teams back to back, but I think they just need to kind of regroup as a team, um, just kind of maybe just talk to each other and realize what they should do. Maybe more lock in on defense, try to prioritize driving or shooting threes. It's all about what they want to do, but maybe they should just try to prioritize a certain strategy, and obviously put in 100% effort, and don't put your head down. Because if you do against a top team, then you lose by 30. And then I'm sure they're not gonna want to repeat that. So honestly, if you just give 100% more effort and just try to lock in a certain strategy, I'm sure they can pull off a potential upset next week.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can't put your head down in these games. It's a 30-point loss, but like when you're down 15, it's not impossible to come back from. Just hustle back. That's a few threes off of being a single digit game. So, just hustle all the time if you want those wins. I know regular season wins aren't the most important. Everyone makes playoffs, but it's good practice for the playoffs. Um, yeah, I talked my smack. I don't want any enemies out there. I like everyone, so I had to get that off my chest, though. I felt a little disrespected, and I feel like guys have been disrespecting the pod a little too much because I know they're watching, so I wanted to let us. Well, we're watching too, is what I'm saying. So we'll move on to our last game of the week, and this one was an exciting one. We got a team that didn't have any wins get a win, and that was the Squad versus FTG. The Squad racked up the scoreboard 118 points to 92 against FTG. Everyone was scoring for the Squad. Marquis Smith, 33 points. Musa Dikaiti doing everything, 30 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. Jayshawn Edwards, Federico Pineda, 23 points each. Yeah, everything was working for them. This looked like a different squad. They lost to the top dogs without Cody Crawford leading the way, and it just looked like I think DJ said they were already in Cancun. I wouldn't say that, but DJ said that. But they might have heard that, and they came out looking better than ever, honestly. I didn't expect this. I really didn't expect this big of a blowout, too. I know FTG are missing two of their best guys, but you still got Ethan Austin, who his first season led a team that might have been worse on paper than this FTG. He led that team to few wins against pretty good teams. So I don't know really what happened there. 40 points from Ethan, 31 from his right hand man. It seems this season, Shane Perico, 31 for him. Both teams now 1-5. Top dogs 1-5. It's not always interesting when you got three teams that are 1-5, but this is very interesting to see who's going to come out on top when these smaller teams are all close and these top teams are close. I think this makes the league a little more interesting. There's a bigger difference from 1-8, but from 8 to 6, it's a lot closer. I think that's very interesting. Yeah, FTG's missing guys. I don't know if they're injured. I really haven't talked to Ethan about his missing roster. If they come back, FTG's a problem, and they're going to be in this lower side of the bracket, so they might be set up for an upset in this playoffs if they come back. If not, this is not looking great for FTG for the rest of the season. DJ, I'll give you a chance to talk about the squad. You had some harsh words. We're not always right here on the pod. I'm not saying we're always right. So talk about the squad. They showed up. They showed up.
Yeah, shout out to the Squad for packing their bags and coming back, This is like, looking at the score chart right now, we got one of the most complete, evenly scoring teams I've seen. 33 points, 30 points, 23, 23 across the board from your starting four. That's really good, especially against FTG. They play better than their record most of the time, but yeah, the squad were winless before this, so being able to beat down on the FTG like that, they might have something cooking if they can keep this momentum rolling.
And a very interesting matchup, I think, in the last week is the Reapers versus the Squad. And the Squad has Jayshawn Edwards and Keandre both from the Reapers a couple of seasons ago. So maybe that's a little. I don't know what happened. I don't know why they're not on the team together. I don't know. Maybe they just had too big of a roster. I don't know. I'm not trying to start any drama, but it's going to be cool to see those guys finally play against each other from playing with each other for the last couple of seasons. So that's a very, very key matchup to keep an eye on. Maybe the Squad's got something to prove on that game. Davis, talk about FTG. They're missing guys, but I still don't think they should be getting blown out by an 0-4 team. So talk about them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like if they were like a mainly healthy team, this would be a totally different story. They would be probably, I'd say, a top four lock probably, if they were have a full unit for sure. But I mean, you still have some superstars on the court with Ethan Austin and Shane Perico. So I mean, I don't think they should be dropping games like this by this much. Uh, I mean, I think they just. But honestly, I think they just need more than four players. That's because most of the time it's just like they don't have any subs. And I mean, it plays a bigger factor than you think. But I mean, yeah, of course you don't want to be dropping games like this, but I think it just has to do with the health. You can't. I don't think they can do much else other than just try to get their roster back. But if like you said earlier, if they do come back full strength in playoff time, they can definitely be a major sleeper team.
No, yeah, if they come back full force, I would not want to play them in the first round if I'm a higher seed team. They feel like they've worked so hard to get that higher seed, and they got to play against an FTG that's at full strength, which is honestly a top 5 team. So, yeah, uh, FTG had a closer game with B2A than they did the squad, and B2A had their full roster. FTG only had 4 guys in that game. So this was just not their night. Um, Ethan Austin can score 40 points all he wants, but he's got to do more than that. He's got to get his other guys going. Derek Stone, T Gallo, those are good guys. They've averaged 10 plus points in seasons, and they're a bit quieter on these games. Squad's a bigger team. T Gallo, you don't see him shooting, or Derek Stone shooting too much, so maybe the paint was just clogged for them this game, and that's what it was. But FTG, different team if the roster comes back. That's all I'm saying. We'll see what comes up with them. I'll talk with Ethan, see what's going on with his roster. Yeah, uh, they did what they could, but squad just outmatched them this week, and I want to see them win out for the rest of the season. So shout out squad. They're a fun team to watch, and they're a bunch of good guys, and they're always having fun out there, win or loss. So yeah, shout out squad. Congrats on your guys' first win. Keep it rolling. Um, yeah, that wraps it up for the games this week. We'll move into our last, we call it the 110 grill question of the week. And like every good 110 grill meal, you got your chicken sandwiches, you got your burgers. You need a good side with that. You need some fries, you need your side dishes, some mash, get a good side. That being said, we're going to be talking about sixth man, aka fifth man of the year. DJ, I see you smiling over there. Um, yeah, so we're going to be talking about who we think our fifth man of the year is going to be. Some of those bench guys that maybe we want to light a spark under to get going in these next few games to kind of seal the deal for that award, if the award really matters to them. I know a lot of guys say it doesn't, but deep down, we all know it feels a little good when you see yourself posted on the Instagram with your award. You can post it on your story, show everyone you can ball. So, fifth man of the year. DJ, who are you looking at? If you got anyone.
Yeah, a little tough decision here, but give me Cade Ryan, the GOAT, man. Coming out against B2A, I know they're mid, but they still got 3 wins, even though they're like below mid team wins. But he came out with 3 steals, came out to play. That's my GOAT. That's my sixth man of the year right there.
Well, I appreciate the love. I'm not sure if everyone agrees here. Davis Lamb, give me what you got, who you got. That isn't me.
Let's see. I'm thinking. I like this might just be recently biased because it's the last game I saw. I'm maybe I'm not as educated as everyone else for the 6 man race, to be honest, but I did like what I saw from Leon Buckley on Team ASAP. I thought he had a smooth 9 points off the bench. I mean, without him, you need a solid sub, and he poured in a good amount of 9 points, great energy. Um, I mean, whenever he scored, the team was hyped. So I think he deserved a shout out.
Some guys I was thinking about. Jamali Banks. We talked about him last season. In the defensive kind of talk, we talked about him. So he's coming off the bench for Reapers, 9 points, 6 rebounds. He's a difference when he gets out there. Gives his guys a break when he's subbed in, and really brings that intensity on defense as well as offenses. You can see he's almost averaging 10 points. Karan Bostic for Team ASAP, 12 points. Shoots lights out. Well, someone's got to put some respect on his shot. He shoots like 4 feet behind the line, and they're green every time. So someone's got to guard him up there. He comes off the bench, brings that energy, starts talking to his teams, talks to the other guys on the other teams. But my pick for fifth man would be my boy from A1, Ale Ravello. 10 points, 3 rebounds. He comes off, gives his squad a much needed rest when they need it, and he brings that hustle and he's dunking on guys. We'll see in the top 3 plays, we'll see him dunk on someone. Um, he's dunked on a lot of guys, and he doesn't even have that many minutes in this league so far. But he's getting his points. He's getting his rebounds. Defense, he's drawing charges. He's doing things that you don't see in the stats. He's my pick. He's my guy. So I'm gonna stick with him for my sixth man, fifth man of the year. There's a lot of guys though that we don't talk about enough on this pod. So we'll try to do that in the further weeks. Give our flowers to those more, I guess, quiet guys that are doing bigger things that we're not really talking about. And that's really what the fifth man award is all about, recognizing the hard work for those guys that aren't averaging 20, 30 points a game. So shout out all the guys that don't get mentioned on this pod enough. We still see you. Don't worry. We're watching every game. Don't worry. We see you. Yeah, I think that wraps it up for this week. Next week, week 7, moving on to that. Only 2 more regular season games, and we got intense playoffs, All-Star week. A lot of fun ahead of us, a lot of intense matchups. Shout out my boy Davis. Shout out DJ. Thank you guys for joining us this week. We'll see you next week.